all of the challenges going on this year.
I don't think we're in a holding pattern. I think the Biden administration is moving forward, doing their best to try to make sure they hit the ground running. They've got a lot on their plate with COVID and trying to deal with the pandemic, as well as, whenever you do have a transition, it takes a little while. You got to get people sworn in through the Senate process. We're waiting on 2 Senate seats from Georgia, and that's going to impact how things look. And so a lot up in the air right now. So I think the transition is trying to make sure that it moves forward and is there to hit the ground running as the president gets inaugurated.
Filling in for Randall Wiseman, I'm Taylor Hillman for Southeast AgNet.
When it really counts, depend on The Source for the latest weather updates, keeping you ahead of the storm. 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, The Source.
We'll have sunshine mixing with some clouds today with a high of 70 to 73, and patchy clouds tonight, low 47 to 51. Friday will be partly sunny, high tomorrow 71 to 75. Then Saturday and Sunday both will be partly cloudy, high Saturday 76 to 78, Sunday 79 to 83. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Holly Holdren.
Merry Christmas from the Pack Mail Store. Thank you for all of your business in 2020. At Pack Mail, we pack, ship, freight, and crate, a family-owned business since 2007.
It is time for Veterans News. Let's go out and join Gary and Hank at Veterans Helping Veterans. Good morning, guys.
Thank you, Guy. Appreciate it. We've got a guest here this morning. We'll introduce him in just a few minutes. Every Thursday we do the casualty list, military casualties, and, of course, police and firemen. I know Gary's got the listing right in front of him. So some of them, passed on with the virus. And I think we have 1 or 2 who are shot and killed on duty.
Okay, we start, and it's all law enforcement this morning. We have Deputy Sheriff John Sonny Kuhar Jr. of the Cambria County Sheriff's Office in Pennsylvania. His end of watch was November the 28th. Deputy Kuhar was a victim of the COVID-19 virus. And we have Sergeant Herschel Turner of the Moline Acres Police Department in Missouri. His end of watch was Saturday, December the 5th. He was a victim of being run over by a car while assisting another officer on a traffic stop. And we have another very sad one. We have Trooper Jennifer M. Zarnicki of the New York State Police Department. Her end of watch was also December the 5th, and her death was a result of her search and recovery assignment at the World Trade Center during 9/11. Tom, can we do the taps and Amazing Grace for these folks?
Yeah, go.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost,
Okay, thank you, Tom. Tom, we got we left off one notable person here, and some of you probably knew him. He worked for the Veterans Service Office here. He was a veteran, just passed a few days ago, and Richard Davis. Richard was a good guy. Tried to help as many veterans as he could. Was certainly in sympathy along with his family, and Richard made a difference, and we appreciate his service both in the military and then serving veterans later on. So thank you, Tom. Gary, we're open for business, and give them the hours again so people know we got a number of new programs that we're working on.
Okay, we're open for business and full swing. And, I just want to add that we never closed. We were here, through the height of the virus, and now that it's peaking again, we're still here. Our hours are Monday through Thursday, 8 until 4. On Friday, we're here till 1 o'clock. Now, we do food and TFAP, which is Temporary Emergency Food Assistance Program, which is for veterans and non-veterans if you're eligible income-wise. And we do that Tuesdays and Thursdays between the hours of 8 o'clock and 1:30. The rest of the social services we have, of course, utility assistance, rent assistance, and whatever else we have funds for. Also, we got chaplains here. We got people here that'll help you find jobs. We got people here that'll help you get a mortgage, people that'll help you get insurance, and then we got the Veteran Service Office right next door. So it is truly a one-stop center. We're here open for business and ready to serve the veterans of Marion County.
Good. Okay, outstanding. Hey, listen, Tom, are you familiar with Stuff the Bus?
I am.
Okay, so here's the deal. They tell me it's 20 years ago, okay?
20, yeah.
Yeah, so myself, Suzanne McGuire, and Lamar Hunt sat down one day, and the Retired Officers Association were looking for a project to get involved in, and they decided to do Stuff the Bus, which helps children who really can't afford and families who can't afford some of these school supplies and other things. And it's been a tremendous success over the years, mainly because of people like Lamar and Colonel Ham here, who have really got behind it, worked hard at it, and a number of other volunteers, many, many, many people. But it's one of those programs the veterans are really proud to do and have done a great job. And I asked the Colonel here, who's a retired U.S. Army Colonel, and also former Assistant Superintendent of Schools, and I could keep on talking about his accomplishments, but I think his main focus today is going to be on Stuff the Bus and how we can all help out. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Colonel.
Thank you, Hank. Delighted to be here. As Hank indicated, we're in our 20th year, just finishing up our 20th year of Stuff the Bus. Since July 27th, we have distributed 961 backpacks full of school supplies, retail value at over $44,000. And the bulk of those were distributed directly to elementary school guidance counselors and principals before the year started, so that those needy students who are processed in through the counselors, when they identify the need, they can just hand the young person a backpack, and they have everything they need to be successful academically starting day one. The 100% of what we do is funded by private and business donations. This year we had 47 benefactors who combined donated over $7,000, and then about 11 businesses who also kicked in. We purchase most of the supplies in bulk, and that way we're able to maximize the input of the donations that are made. The backpacks that we get are quality backpacks, and they're a wide variety, because we don't want a stigma associated with a particular kind of backpack for other kids to know that it came from the Stuff the Bus program. So they look just like the backpacks that the other kids have. Camouflage, cartoon characters on the younger ones, psychedelic patterns, you name it, we have it. And typically we will go to an elementary school at the beginning of the year with 25 backpacks and just give them to the counselors to hand out when they process in those needy students. And Stuff the Bus used to surge in the summer, but we're now a year-round operation because we've greatly expanded the number of backpacks that we've given out. We have rented a storage unit to store the supplies. This year was particularly tough because of the restrictions of COVID. In years past, we have had permission to set up in the parking lots of 4 of the county's Walmart stores and solicit in-kind donations where we would give patrons a list of the needs as they entered the store, and got a great response in people who would purchase extra school supplies and then drop them in a grocery cart as they came out for us. And of course we sort those, take them back to the storage unit, and then stuff the backpacks. This year we couldn't do that, so we were much more dependent on purchasing the supplies and spending down our balance in the account. So we're getting ready to start the giving program again. And for those businesses who might be listening or interested in support, as they analyze their annual giving program for 2021, please keep us in mind. We accept donations in a variety of ways. Obviously, a check made out to Kingdom of the Sun, MOAA, and that's the new name for the Retired Officers Association. It's now the Military Officers Association. And Kingdom of the Sun is our local chapter, and I'm the vice president of that chapter. But a check made out to KOS-MOAA, and it can be sent to me at 2480 Southeast 38th Street. That's zip 34480, and it will definitely go into the account. And again, 100% of all of those donations go to purchase supplies. All of our labor is volunteer labor by veterans and their families to assemble the materials, to stuff the backpacks, and then I personally deliver those to 33 elementary schools, especially those in the outlying areas that have the greatest need.
You know, I think, of course, we used to participate a lot more years ago when we were parked in parking lots, and used to do it in the summertime, and it was a challenge sometimes getting on and off that bus with the heat. But this county's always supported that, but because of the virus, like everybody else, it put a little bit of an obstacle in your way about raising funds and raising school supplies. No one gets paid in this program, like the Colonel said. It's all volunteerism. It's a project that they've taken on and done a great job for 20 years. You're the assistant superintendent of schools. I thought I heard something the other where 60% of all the kids in Marion County are eligible for free lunch.
Free and reduced lunch.
So that tells you about the income level of Marion County and kids. Some of these kids going to school. It's not a rich county, and a lot of these families struggle to put food on the table. School supplies are something they may want, but they seldom can afford. So that's something I think that it was a great project for the veterans to get involved in. It's a great project for you to support. We're going to try to support it as much as we can, but we need your help out there. We really do. We need, business help. We need help from just individuals. And I will tell you, you're dealing with very honorable people here. You don't have to worry about any of that money being sidetracked to something else. They do exactly what they say they're going to do. They buy school supplies and make sure no kid goes to school unprepared.
Hank,
Yes.
As a former teacher, I will tell you this. About 6 out of every 10, just like you said, 60% of the county I worked in, and I lived in North Carolina at the time, about 6 out of every 10 couldn't afford pencils or paper to keep up with what their class needs were, couldn't afford a backpack, and were on free or reduced lunch. So this is something that is a problem countywide, statewide, and nationwide, and it's through the painstaking work that groups like this group does that affords children the opportunity to get a good education like every student should be afforded.
Yeah, last night on Channel 20, there was a school teacher from Marion County purchasing school supplies for her students, and her thing was that if somebody didn't help because of that figure, that 60%, that kids can actually fail because they don't have the supplies and they can't do the work.
Hey, Tom, I know, listen, you probably missed your break. I hate to do your job for you, so, why don't you gonna take a break?
Yeah, let's take a break.
And,
we'll be right
and
back.
why don't you send me some of that big fat paycheck you get, because, I keep on doing this for you.
Remember, Joe Martone writes the check. There's nothing big or fat about it.
Oh, he ran out of ink.
Exactly,
okay?
exactly. We'll be right back with Veterans News, with Veterans Helping Veterans after this short timeout.
Veterans Helping Veterans USA. Call 352-433-2320. We help veterans and their families with limited financial assistance, counseling, employment referrals, and a food and clothing bank. You can help in making a huge difference in the veterans' lives we serve by donating food, clothing, household items, or direct financial assistance. All donations are tax deductible. Veterans Helping Veterans USA. 352-433-2320. Thank you for your attention, and God bless America.
It is Veterans News, and let's go back out and join Hank and Gary at Veterans Helping Veterans. Guys, back to you.
You don't want to talk to Craig about his,
Well, that's all right.
He's here. You can say, Tom, you can recognize this other guy, It's okay. He'll be a regular visitor in here talking about the program and the needs.
My apologies, Colonel.
Young people in Marion County, because he would know better than most of us. As I say, he was the assistant superintendent over there and worked the system over there for a number of years as a teacher. So, he knows what's happening in Marion County. He certainly knows what's happening with these young people that we need to help out. So I'm going to turn it back to him, and he'll give you some more information about the program.
Well, I'm pleased that you mentioned that teacher, because one of our goals is to take the burden off of the classroom teacher so they have fewer students who need that kind of help. I happen to have taught at Forest High School for 9 years in the EMET program when it existed there, and was also president of the local teachers union. So I'm very familiar with the obstacles that they face. I should mention that we are a 501c19 veteran organization, tax exempt, registered with the state of Florida. And the name Stuff the Bus is registered in the fictitious name registration to the Marion County Veterans Council, which I chair. So if you go to Facebook and you look for Stuff the Bus, look for the coin that has the 5 services. We haven't added the Space Force yet to that coin. But if you look for that coin, that's our Facebook page, and we have a donation button on the Facebook page that makes it very easy for people to donate, and those donations are processed through our PayPal account. So we're also working on a web page, but on the Facebook page, there are a number of photographs of us delivering backpacks to the various schools in the county. And it's just a tremendous opportunity to get out there and see the students' faces light up when they get something that they need. One thing about Marion County is with the equine industry and the agriculture here, we have a lot of transient labor, which means there's a never-ending change in school enrollments. Coupled with the fact that many students have been schooling at home And we expect that in January they'll be coming back into the classroom in brick and mortar. So we'll have a surge in the need from the schools, and all they have to do is contact me, and I'll deliver the backpacks. The difference, of course, between what the school system does in terms of school supplies and what we do is that we try to get a full backpack directly to the student through the counselor, whereas the school system stocks school supplies in a warehouse, and a principal can request that, and it's delivered to the school, and then the teachers consume those in the classroom. It's a little different approach, but it's in concert with what they do to make sure students have everything they need to be successful, not just in the classroom, but in doing homework. Many of your listeners may have an image of public schools from 20, 30 years ago when we had wall lockers. That's no longer the case in the public schools. They've done away with the lockers, and the backpack is the private storage and equipment rucksack for the students. So it is a very significant need for those elementary students because they have their books and they have their notebooks, and we give them pens and pencils and a pencil sharpener and blunt nose scissors and markers and crayons. It's virtually roughly $40 worth of school supplies in the backpack that goes to each of those students.
Does that include the backpack cost or just the supplies in the backpack?
That's the retail value of the backpack and the supplies is just over $40.
Hank, I got a question here. Somebody sent a question. Wait, Joe Martone sent a question in. And so, bear with me here.
Crayon? Is it written in crayon?
No, it was actually a text message, which I find amazing. But so he said, when he was growing up, supplies were given to the kids by the school system. So where's all the money going from the lottery, which is supposed to be earmarked for education?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's probably a good question.
Well, I can respond to that in two ways. First of all, the school supplies that the school system stockpiles in the warehouse are those that are needed in the classroom during the day, and they're specified by the teachers based on what they are doing. Whereas what we're giving is what the student needs to carry home as well as use in the classroom. The other significant point to be made here is that the lottery money represents a shell game at the state level. The amount of funding that our school system receives per student when adjusted for inflation is less than it was 20 years ago. And that's because the state budget used to provide roughly 60 to 65% of the funding for the schools. Today, it's around 40%, and the difference is from local sources and your property taxes that have gone up. Every dollar that goes in from the lottery is $1 less that comes out of the state budget. So what it means is funding for education has stayed level. It has been offset by the lottery, but because the state budget has expanded faster than the inflation rate, it means that every other claimant to the state budget, besides education, has had a windfall, an increase in the amount that they receive from the state budget, where education has remained flat because of the offset. And that's the great myth of the lottery. I worry about saying that because I don't want people to stop buying lottery tickets and dry up the funding for education. But the reality is local residents are now carrying a greater burden on local public education because they pay property tax.
Yeah, the other issue along the way is, Florida has nothing to be proud of in terms of what it spends on education. It is not good, and it's very poor, and it's near the bottom of the states. So, we need to set some priorities here, and certainly education ought to be one of them. And I think we can do a hell of a lot better job.
Got about a minute, Hank.
These people are doing the very they can. So your phone number and your site one more time.
Sure. I can be reached 352-843-2357. Checks can be mailed to Stuff the Bus, 2480 Southeast 38th Street, Ocala, 34480. And we're on Facebook. Just type in Stuff the Bus, all one word, and you should find us.
Hey, listen, guys, I tell you every week, thank you for your service, and God bless America, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you next week.
Okay, have a good one.
Bye-bye.
That is Veterans News with Veterans Helping Veterans. Get involved, folks, just like these people are. Get engaged. That is how we make a better society. We'll be right back. After this short timeout, you're listening to 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, WOCA, The Source.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
USA Radio News with Lance Pry.
Pennsylvania GOP Representative Mike Kelly says his challenge to election results in his state is not over, despite being denied an emergency order by the U.S. Supreme Court.
All that happened is we were not granted a temporary injunction relief. That's all that happened. But we are in the midst of a constitutional crisis right now in our country, and we have to get answers, and we have to get it from the highest court in the land.
Another case has been put forth to the Supreme Court by Texas and joined by 17 other states to prevent Pennsylvania, as well as Michigan, Georgia, and Wisconsin from participating in the Electoral College. That lawsuit argues the Constitution's Equal Protection Clause was violated in the 2020 election. One of the year's most anticipated video games is having problems on consoles. Cyberpunk 2077 on PS4 and Xbox One seems to have major problems, showcasing glitches and frame rate issues. The game is also well over 100